The wind moves first. It always does in stories like this. Dust drifts across an empty street somewhere between myth and memory. Wooden buildings line both sides like silent witnesses. A swinging saloon door creaks in slow rhythm. No music, no crowd, just tension thick enough to taste. At one end of the street stand a man the world knows. A silhouette carved into cinema history. The poncho rests on his shoulders like a battle flag. A cigarillo burns between his lips. His eyes, cold, unreadable, calculating, scan the horizon without urgency. Clint Eastwood, not just the actor, not just the director, but the embodiment of the Western myth itself. At the opposite end of the street stands another man. Younger, broader, weathered by a different kind of storm. His hat casts a shadow over eyes that carry more than violence. They carry weight, regret, loyalty, a life lived in conflict. Arthur Morgan, not just a video game character, not just pixels on a screen, but one of the most emotionally complex outlaws ever created. This is not just a duel. This is legacy versus evolution. Cinema versus interactive storytelling. Myth versus mortality. Clint Eastwood built the Western archetype. Arthur Morgan deconstructed it. And now, they stand facing each other. To understand the showdown, you have to understand where they come from. Clint Eastwood didn't just act in Westerns. He redefined them. When he stepped into the role of the man with no name in 1964, something shifted in the genre forever. Western heroes before him were clean-cut, morally upright, predictable. But Eastwood's character didn't explain himself. He didn't justify his violence. He didn't chase redemption. He operated in silence. And that silence was louder than any speech. He could walk into a town filled with enemies, say almost nothing, and still command total dominance. His power wasn't speed alone. It was psychological warfare. The way he looked at a man before pulling the trigger. The way he waited half a second longer than anyone expected. That half second broke opponents. Arthur Morgan comes from a different world, but inspired by that same myth. He exists inside a living, breathing narrative in Red Dead Redemption 2. A game so detailed, so immersive, it blurred the line between playing a story and living one. Arthur isn't just a gunslinger. He's a man raised in a criminal family, loyal to a fault, slowly realizing that loyalty might be destroying him. Clint's characters rarely doubt themselves. Arthur doubts everything. Clint's characters walk away from explosions without looking back. Arthur looks back. Clint's myth is about dominance. Arthur's story is about consequence. And that difference changes everything. Now imagine this scenario clearly. No Deadeye mechanics. No cinematic slow motion. No script protecting either one. Just raw instinct. Arthur Morgan is a trained outlaw. He survived ambushes, gang wars, Pinkerton chases, betrayals from within his own family. He can draw fast. He can shoot accurately. He can track, hunt, adapt. But Clint Eastwood's Western persona is something else entirely. He doesn't rush. He studies. He reads body language. He waits for weakness. Arthur fights like a soldier. Clint fights like a chess player. Arthur's strength lies in resilience. He can take punishment and keep moving. He's endured freezing mountains, desert heat, tuberculosis eating away at his lungs. His pain tolerance is immense. But Clint's characters rarely even get hit. Why? Because they don't make mistakes. In classic duels, Eastwood's characters win before the gun is drawn. They manipulate positioning. They control timing. They let the opponent sweat. Arthur is emotional. Clint is clinical. And emotion can be dangerous in a duel. But here's where things shift. Arthur Morgan's emotional depth is also his greatest strength. He understands people. He reads intention. He knows desperation because he's lived it. If Clint tries to intimidate him with silence, Arthur might not break. He's faced worse than cold stares. He's faced his own conscience. Now let's talk about speed. In gameplay terms, Arthur's Deadeye ability makes him almost supernatural. He can mark targets in slow motion and eliminate multiple enemies before they even react. Clint Eastwood's characters don't have Deadeye, but they don't need it. They operate on anticipation. In the good, the bad, and the ugly, The final three-way standoff isn't won by fastest reflex alone. It's won by reading intent, understanding who will shoot whom. Clint's characters excel at that. Arthur excels at reaction. Clint excels at prediction. Reaction versus prediction. Impulse versus calculation. If Arthur draws first, Clint might already be aiming. If Clint waits too long, Arthur's reflexes could end it instantly. So who wins? The truth is, it depends on the rules. If we're in Arthur's universe, with mechanics intact, Arthur has the advantage. He is designed to win. His world bends around player skill. But if we step into Clint Eastwood's cinematic universe, something changes. In that world, tension builds slowly. The hero almost never loses. The myth protects him. Arthur Morgan's world is tragic. Clint Eastwood's world is mythic. Tragedy allows death. Myth resists it, and that's the deeper layer of this battle. Arthur Morgan is built to fall. His story demands sacrifice. Clint Eastwood's Western persona is built to survive. His legend grows with every duel. So if this is a physical confrontation, it's close. Very close. But if this is a battle of legacy, Clint Eastwood stands as the blueprint. Arthur Morgan stands as the evolution. Arthur exists because Clint existed first. Arthur is what happens when you take the silent gunslinger and give him a heart heavy enough to break the audience. Clint's characters don't cry. Arthur does. Clint's characters don't confess weakness. Arthur writes it in his journal. Clint's power lies in mystery. Arthur's power lies in vulnerability. And in modern storytelling, vulnerability hits harder. So maybe this duel isn't about who shoots faster. Maybe it's about who changed the Western genre more deeply. Clint Eastwood turned Western heroes into antiheroes. Arthur Morgan turned antiheroes into tragic philosophers. Clint made us admire. Arthur made us feel. Now imagine the final moment again. The wind stops. No dialogue. Arthur's hand twitches near his revolver. Clint's eyes narrow slightly. Neither man blinks. One heartbeat. Two heartbeats. Three. Gunfire echoes. Who falls? The screen fades to black before we see. Because sometimes the mystery is stronger than the answer. And that's the truth about this matchup. Clint Eastwood represents the origin of the modern Western antihero. Arthur Morgan represents its emotional peak. One is legend. One is legacy. One built the myth. One humanized it. And in that sense, they both win. Because without Clint Eastwood, there is no Arthur Morgan. And without Arthur Morgan, the Western genre never evolves beyond silent stoicism. Two gunslingers, two eras, one eternal dust-covered street. And somewhere in that endless horizon, their shadows still stand, facing each other, forever frozen in a duel that doesn't need a winner to be unforgettable.